here and start moving your cursor very fast, we could clap hands. So let's wait for others to join. I see that Jose is already here. Jose, would you like to clap our hands?
I think I just did. Anyway, I'm there.
Yeah, great. Oh, I can see other people are joining. Yeah, almost. Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, Karolina. Yeah, we did clap our hands. Great. We can start. So the goal of this session is to discover how DesignOps helps design systems gain traction. So if you haven't joined our Zoom, please, you can follow the live YouTube stream on the YouTube itself. Great. I would like to welcome our speakers. Jose, would you like to introduce yourself to the community?
Sure. Thank you, Farid. I'm Jose Coronado. I lead the design operations team at JP Morgan. I've been working in design systems since before they were called design systems. They were called UI guidelines and other things before. Really excited about this conversation and looking forward to contributing to questions that the audience might have.
Great, thank you. Pat, would you like to go next?
Hi, everyone. Lovely to be here. Thank you for having me. So I'm a design ops metrics junkie. So the reason why I love especially design systems, it's because it's a phenomenal way to measure the impact that design operations and good best practices can bring business value to the organization. So looking forward to this conversation.
Great, thank you. Karolina, would you like to go next?
Of course. Hello, everyone. And again, thank you for having us here. My name is Karolina Boremalm. I'm heading the design ops and the design system team at IKEA Retail Inca Group. I've also, just the same as Jose, been working with design systems for many, many years, as well as design operations, although it was not known or called design operations before. And the reason why I love design systems is because they just simplify. They simplify so much and they make us be effective. And as a design ops professional, I love optimization and effectiveness. So that's me.
Thank you. And I love IKEA as a brand. And I feel like this is like the whole experience of building things yourself, like by using design system. So this is a great experience as well. So thank you for sharing that. Great. Andrew, would you like to go next?
Yeah, I'm Andrew Evans. I'm the Chief Product Officer for Supernova. And I've been with Supernova since 2019. And I'm responsible for pivoting our product to becoming a design system platform. Back in 2019, we said, hey, there's really not any tooling that's supporting all of that efficiency and collaboration. And everyone's kind of having to go and invent all these things themselves in organizations. So we spoke to literally hundreds of organizations with design systems and design ops teams, and that has resulted in the product Supernova that we have today. And I run that at Supernova.
Great, thank you very much. And my name is Farid Sabitov. I'm located in Mountain View, California. I'm design ops enabler, focusing on the design systems and metrics. And I'm community champion at Coda and Figma. So happy to be here. Great. The first thing that I would like to ask for other participants who are joining us, introducing themselves to the community. So if you would like to share your Twitter or LinkedIn profile, please do that so we can be all connected. Great. The first things first, I would like to start with the section called Current Challenges, and we would like to hear from you. I feel like there might be some delay with Zoom and YouTube streaming. Hope that people will be able to follow us here in PigJam. We might be ahead of time for a couple of seconds, but let's try that. So we would like to hear from you. So we have here three question statements that we would like to get your insights on. So the first statement is, my organization has a well-defined process that covers all the necessary aspects of our design system, from creation to implementation and maintenance. And on the right side, if you will click on this scale bar, you could say as strongly agree or strongly disagree. And in a couple of seconds, we'll come back. Yes, I can see that people are voting, so this is working. Great. So the next question is, my organization has a design system that is connected with both design and engineering teams and used across multiple products. And that will show the level of maturity of your design system, because again, the first level might be UI kit. The second one might be where we have design and engineer connected and mapped together in the way how we group, name, and what kind of variant we are using across all the components. And the much mature ones are the ones who are using design system across multiple products and portfolios. And the last question is, our design system team has all necessary roles and skills for success, including disciplines like design, engineering, leadership, coordination, and operations. Great, I can see that some people already voted, so let's see the result. It will take a couple of seconds. We have so many people here. Great, we can see the results. So, and I would like to speak and get some perspective from our speakers. So what we can see here is for process-related questions. So we can see that there are many people are somewhere in the middle on the neutral. So it looks like there are some space for documentation. Maybe they don't have clear processes for now, and that's why we could also speak about that in a little. For the second question, we have more people voted somewhere on the right side. It's hard to say where people voted here. Yeah, we can see that most of the people voted somewhere on the right side where they are strongly agree that they have design and code connected. And the last question is, we can see that more people voted in the lower end, where they are strongly disagree. Maybe they don't have enough budget or resources or people or the right skills to have a successful design system. So I would like to give some couple minutes for our speakers, maybe just to share their thoughts on the results that we've got here.
Yeah, I'll jump in if you want. I see some trends here that are really familiar to us in a lot of the product research that we do at Supernova. Particularly the third one across there, like the resource starvation. I think my guess is that this is largely due to design systems growing organically out of other team processes, right? Like when you have mature organizations with a dedicated design system team, that's very different from how they usually start, which is it's somebody championing it who has another job. And it slowly has to become a supported and real organizational process.
Totally agree. Yeah, 100%. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, I would like to add, historically, our organizations have considered design systems as a nights and weekends project or program, and that's what relates to the starvation or the wider range of people's perspectives in that question. I think as organizations realize the importance, the vital importance of design systems, they become funding it as a fully dedicated program. Some of us are lucky to be in organizations that have that model. But if we look at our careers, we've been in organizations where it's been a nights and weekends project, and it's a beg, borrow, and steal resources, not a fully dedicated program.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Jose. I think it's very interesting that there is an expectancy that you should have a design system and it should operate optimally, but there is no desire to actually fund it. And I think for all of us who've worked with design systems for a longer period of time know that building a design system takes time and resource and money, right? The return on investment is great, but only if you actually put in the resource and money to do that. And expecting a single person with an extra job doing a design system on the side, or maybe even two resources and so on, I think a lot of companies, first of all, don't realize the value, and second of all, are a little bit naive in like, well, why would we need to put money into this. We first need to see that it will be a good return on investment, which is strange because it always is.
Yeah, I think that the biggest problem and the challenge and the mindset shift happens when organizations start to realize that the design system is not just a nice to have, an add-on, is a product. And when they start treating design system as a product with a PM, with an engineer, the classic triad, that's when proving the value, showing the benefits, it's when it happens. Until there's no clarity that a design system is a product in itself that serves the business rather than the customers, or indirectly it serves the customer indirectly, that's when you have this kind of split. And probably people that are on the more immature will recognize and will probably confirm that probably design system is not seen as a product yet.
That's a great point. Thank you for sharing. Totally agree. What I wanted to add as well, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them on YouTube or in Zoom or within FigJam here within the answer and question Q&A widget. You could ask some questions, so we'll come back here in a couple seconds. And also, if you see something interesting, if you would like to add some notes, please feel free to add sticky notes around. So we'll be happy to see what things are most interesting for you. Great. So let's start with the collaboration part. So I would like to start with the definition of DesignOps. Pat, would you like to explain your definition of DesignOps?
Yeah, I mean, if we look at what operation means, operations really means transforming the current status quo, the reality, the data, and the situation in a better one that delivers value for the customer, for the business, the designers, and the leadership. So design operations really is a transformative and transformational discipline that focuses on changing how the organization, the teams are working. So before anything else, design operation is change management. It's about understanding the context, measuring and quantifying the status quo to bring in those innovations that deliver and build business value for the organization and make designers happy, ultimately.
Great, thank you for sharing. Karolina, my next question is related to how do you see your DesignOps practice within IKEA integrated with the design system team? Is it like one team or is it part of specific program or another portfolio? So I'm curious to learn from your perspective here.
Thank you. And you really put me on the spot here. I would love to say that the design system team and the design operations team today are within one portfolio operating under one program, but I would actually be totally lying. We are not. We are, the design system is within the design operations sphere. So as a program, we are operating within DesignOps, but there are two different teams working on two very different methodologies and ways of acting and so forth. And there is a reason for that. And the reason is historical. When design operations at IKEA started, it started with design system, right? Mm-hmm. So we were asked, or I was asked, I was the sole design operations person at that point, to consolidate the systems that existed and create one global design system for the totality of the IKEA products, digital products, right? And out of the design system work, it started to showcase that there was so many other things around that needed support. Everything from, how do we train people in the tool that we chose, to what kind of rituals and processes do they have around creating design with a design system. In some cases, we had very senior designers who just jumped on the ball and said, like, yes, I'm going to do this. In other cases, we didn't, right? We didn't even have designers in some product teams. So today, as of today, we are closing in on DesignOps and design systems to work more cohesive and consistent together. Because, and there's a reason for this as well, because we see the value of design operations within design systems. We do a lot of design operations things within the design system team that are today classified as project management or product management or so on, but are actually in fact things that would support the design operations practice if they had existed previously.
Yeah, this is great. Thank you for sharing. Jose, I'm curious to know your perspective. Do you feel like design system and design will be a one program, or you have other perspective on that?
I think that there's plenty of work for multiple teams to tackle the problem. I think in contrast with what Karolina just shared, when I joined my current organization, the design system already existed as a fully funded product. So it had a product owner, it had developers, it had designers assigned to it. So my focus from a design operations perspective was more about people, infrastructure, processes. And each one of us had our distinct areas of practice. I think where our roads coincide with what Karolina just shared is the role of my design program managers are enablers of the design system product program. They are helping make the connections with stakeholders and product teams. They are helping prioritize and define the roadmap. But we are working in collaboration, not one or the other or one of the same. They are distinct programs. And as I mentioned, we are fortunate that we're fully funded from a design system product perspective.
Great, thank you for sharing that. Yeah, what we see so far is that just a quick recap: DesignOps is more about the change management. DesignOps and design system teams are not always the same. They are not always the same as one program. Design system work showed value in other ops areas. So like if you would like to set up the design ops program, design system team is low hanging fruit to show the value and like how much we could invest into the design system to show the value from ops, operational value from other ops areas as well. Multiple teams might tackle the same problem, and that's okay. And in some cases, yes, we need to think about makers and we need to think about the enabler. It's two different things. And as Patrizia mentioned, that DesignOps is more about change management. In some organizations, design program managers are enabling design system, helping making connections with stakeholders and product teams. I'm curious to know, Andrew, have you seen scenarios where one organization had multiple design systems within their organization?
Oh yeah, a lot, and quite a range. You know, from one design system to, I think in one case 62. So wow. Yeah, I won't name that company publicly, but it's a company, you know, and you know, there are lots of reasons for this. Sometimes it's out of necessity. You have multiple brands, you have multiple business units. Other times it's for the same reason why you have 154 versions of the same button out in your product, right? It's just because there's siloing and there's, you know, all kinds of different things going on politically in an organization, so that everyone needs a design system, but everyone doesn't use the same one, even though they should, right? So yeah, definitely. It's sort of a meta challenge. It's a challenge above what you see for the, you know, sort of the origin stories and reasons for design systems in the first place. Those same challenges can bubble up to the next level, right?
100%. And I'm asking like more like an open question for all the speakers. How do you feel design ops or like design program management could solve this problem of having like multiple design system? And should we solve that or not?
It depends if it's a problem. If it's not broken, don't solve it. So in some cases, I've been working in organizations where we had different brands, different products, and of course, each of them had their unique and dedicated design system. Now, the thing is, for me, what is more critical and important is the internal consistency of the design system. So as long as each of those design systems has a specific purpose, so addresses a specific product, a specific segment or journey or part of the ecosystem, that's okay. What for me is a concern is when the same button has 5 variations, and it just creates inconsistencies and problems within the utilization, the adoptions, and rather than creating efficiencies, it creates inefficiencies and waste.
Totally agree. And like design operations, design program management, larger, more mature design systems are required at scale, right? What kind of challenges we are seeing so far within large enterprise organizations when we have like this multiple design systems working at the same time? Can we name a few just like so that people could see if they have the same challenges or not, or that will be great discussion.
I mean, I think one of the challenges is consistency, of course, right? Because how do you create consistency if you operate on very different, if you read very different books, how can you tell the same story? Maybe you should say. And another challenge is adoption. How do you know which one is the right one, right? What's the North Star? Which one is the correct one and which one is not correct? I think I agree with Patrizia. I think there's a full potential in having multiple systems if there is a need for it. But there needs to be a thought behind why those system exists, right? Like, are there sub-brands that need to still adhere to a core brand, but have some variations of how they express themselves, for example? You need to think about all that. I think for us in my current organization, a challenge is where we have a contextless core, which means that for the areas where we need to have more context, the teams need to have subsystems to be able to translate their needs into something that we don't provide, which is also okay, but it's as well a challenge because then you are slightly more on a higher level than a regular design system. And that's a choice, right? You have to make that choice as well, where to put your own level.
Yeah, 100%. And while we touch the issue with the adoption, maybe we should focus more on adoption as well. So my question is, how can design operations help drive greater adoption of design systems within the organization? Who would like to go first? I'll not put anyone in the spot right now.
I think, go ahead, Pat.
No, first you go.
I think it's about visibility and data. If we think, or if we have anecdotes of adoption, that is different than if we have the actual data on who's using what is the landscape of the organization. So I think the collaboration between a design system team and design operations really is around structuring the information that we need. Who's using what kind of platforms, what kind of technologies, what state of what version of the design system, because that is the only way, or that is one of the few ways in which we can actually determine what I call the state of the union. If we don't have a clear picture of the state of the union, it's very hard to quantify, okay, we invested in a design system, but now only, let's say, 10% of the products are using versus, okay, we invested in a design system, 50% of the products are using it. So we have to find ways to measure that. And the other thing that we need to do is articulate the impact that the design system has, whether it's on what I call the design kit. How much time are we potentially saving designers by having them enabled? Or how much time are we saving in development? For example, the container of the application. If we have 100 applications and all of them are using the same container, the scale of savings are visible, and we have to articulate what those savings are, whether it's on time, on number of developers, or number of hours of developers. So what are the measures that matter in your organization is what we need to figure out. The same approach that we're taking right now may not be helpful for the next organization over. So it's what are the metrics that matter in your org?
Yeah, and just to build on that, metrics on design systems are not usually the first thing that design system teams are worried about, right? When you get started on your design system initially, you're worried about getting the design system built. But if there's one takeaway from that, it's that the earlier you can start tracking those metrics with the design system, the more effective that's going to be in helping with adoption. And, if you can kind of implant that in the philosophy of the design system from the start, you'll benefit.
And to build on all this, yes, data is everything, but adoption is behavioral. So it's what I have seen working really well is having a co-creation and collaborative approach, because nothing irritates more designers or people to tell them, hey, from today, this is how you work. It's more about listening, playing back, understanding what is the painful aspect, the most critical small problem that a design system, a component can solve, so that you create satisfaction, you show that this is solving a real problem, you gain traction, you gain engagement, utilization, adoption, and you also can create a positive loop where people will be interacting with the design system team by telling them that, hey, these things is happening in the product, we are doing this, that actually would require something. Because a successful design system, it's all about ensuring that the design system and the design team are constantly talking and learning from each other. What is the biggest pain and the biggest impact that the design system can have in making designers happy, saving time, increasing consistency, quality, and all the things we know.
Exactly. I completely agree. And I think you need to also consider how the teams are, how the organization is structured, how the design system team is embedded or not embedded versus the design operations team. I think, excuse me, I think making sure, forcing design operations to support a design system team is not the way to go. You need to have an established process from DesignOps or within design system to be able to support the teams properly. So there's no easy answer to this, right? You can, but you can also not do it depending on what level your ops are on and your design system is on.
100%. Pat, I have a question. Like, can you name some specific ceremonies that you feel like are like important? Like maybe office hours, or do you have some specific like frameworks that you are using to adopt design system better within product teams?
Yeah, things that have worked with my teams is very basic stuff. Even just a monthly newsletter to remember and remind the designers that the design system is live and kicking and there's some new cool stuff happening for you. I mean, as stupid and basic as it sounds, you don't know how many times someone is just so much stuck in their ways of working that don't explore, don't check, or don't do things right. And then during the all hands with the design teams, making sure there's a spotlight for design system, what happened in the design system this quarter or this month, just to keep the attention and kind of refreshing. And you mentioned office hours, because if we want collaboration to happen, if we want designers to share their pain and make sure the design system addresses that, it's important to create those moments where people can come and join. But sometimes it's just the listening. So encouraging the design system team to be present and be part of the critiques, because this is where product work is happening and where they can realize that, hey, we need to improve this bit or everything. So it's on different sides, but communication over communication and making sure needs are clear and expressed.
Yeah, totally. And I feel like we can also integrate design system reviews into design critique sessions, making sure that people are following the guidelines, making sure that we can also see if designers are using components or tokens or not. And also what we tried, and it was really helpful, is to introduce inventory workshops where design system team takes one specific product, creates a sitemap and creates all the screenshots of all the main pages. And then during this workshop, together with the product team who's responsible for the specific product library or specific product, just going through each of these main flows, trying to specify specific patterns that we didn't document yet in the design system, and we could add that in the future. And also the way how design system team is dividing each page into templates, organisms, molecules, and atoms in the way that will align product teams in the way how this process is looking like, and also how we are naming things, how we're grouping things, and which kind of variants we see within the product. So it helps design system teams understand how product teams are actually using their design system within their product, but also product teams understand what is the process behind the design system that design system team members are performing.
Yeah, and if I can very quickly add, the dashboard showing every quarter, every month, how many hours did we save, how many improvement we have in the experience. So just showing the hours saved and some quality metrics, it's really energizing and kind of helps people to say, hey, I want to save hours as well.
Yeah, this is like a hot topic for me personally, Patrizia, and I know that you are very expert in metrics, but I would like to go deeper, and I feel like everyone would like to go deeper into design system dashboards. Can you please share what is your perspective on that? What kind of crucial things we need to measure in order to to communicate the impact and usage of design system?
Are you asking specifically me? I saw Karolina was trying to say something, so I don't.
No. I was just wondering when you would say something, but but I was actually thinking about time spent on development. I think in our specific case, we are measuring how. Our team actually operates always in the design and engineering perspective, right? So whenever there is a new component being developed or updated, or we do anything within the design system, there's always a coupling of a designer and an engineer. And we do a very basic thing. We calculate how long it takes for them to do the update. And then we take their hourly rate and we basically, multiply that with the number of hours it takes. And then we say, this is the amount of time it took to create this button or make this update. And then we look at the 246 strong man design team and we calculate that. And we know that, we know the actual number for what it would cost if everyone would do the exact same change. And that is very effectual, at least for getting buy-in of why we should have a team and why we should actually invest money in this.
Love it. One of the things that I could share from my side is one of the interesting sources of this data could be Figma itself. If you are using OrgPlan, you could see the number of insertions. And one really rough estimate that you could take from the beginning is it shows the number of insertions per 90 days, per 30 days, or per week. You could multiply that by 3 minutes, making an assumption that every component insertion, when people are pulling component from the library into their file, saves us 3 minutes. then you can multiply it by the average rate of all the designers. So you could like calculate the amount of money that you are saving. It's really rough estimations here, but this is like the easiest metric that you could get from Figma right now.
And you can easily also see how much time every designer is saving by just doing some average calculation and telling them, hey, this month the team saved X amount of working days. So each of them on average saved, hey, 5 days this month because of the design system. And that's kind of, it helps people to reflect, and it gives a good motivation for people to start using and adopting it more consistently.
Love it. Andrew, I'm curious to know, like, do you know any other metrics that people could use to communicate the impact and usage of design system?
Well, there's also the code side as well, right? Like, you know, looking at how the components and things are and tokens and things are being used across products. We've also seen, you know, there's some interesting automation that we've seen some teams build where they actually use like test automation to screenshot things from the product to showcase the components in situ in the products, and that can even be rolled into the design system documentation as for examples. You know, like, here's a screen that uses this component, and here's how it works. That helps inspire teams to find other uses for the components, or to say, hey, you know, we're not doing that. Maybe we should. It's in the design system. So I think from the code side, that's another another opportunity for metrics to just look at the penetrance of the design system in the actual product code.
Yeah, I love it. I've seen interesting tool recently called Omelette. So they are also like focusing more on setting up metrics for engineering the same way as we have in Figma. So like, but I love Andrew, your idea on having this test automation process to see the usage of their components itself.
No, I can't take credit for that. It's not my idea, but and it's a cool idea. I do like it.
Yeah. Great. So let's go back into the questions. I feel like we talked a lot around collaboration and adoption. One other interesting things that I wanted to discuss is the tools and some takeaways that we could take from this call. Let's go through the questions. And Ivana, if there are some questions in other places, please feel free to add them as well. So we would love to go through them. So the first question is from Roma. How AI will impact design system execution and maintaining? Your opinion?
A lot. I think, I mean, what we're seeing now, if we look at engineering side, right, there are a lot of engineers already now being supported by ChatGPT or whatever. So I think the same will eventually happen with design system work as well. The question is, how accurate will it be? I mean, right now it's quite experimental and it's quite, you know, we're just doing cool things. But at some point in time, you would have to put in some form of algorithm that will have to enable you or allow you to keep a certain brand expression. And that's going to be interesting to see when that happens. And I say when and not if, because I do think that it will happen.
Yeah, I think the impact is yet to be determined. I personally believe that it is a matter of enhancing and supporting the designers and developers, and not a matter of, oh, we have the design system, we have the AI, we're done. So it's a matter of augmenting our capacity and scaling our capacity, not replacing it. That is my personal perspective.
Yeah, this is not a theoretical question for me, because stay tuned. but we've had a lot of discussions about AI with customers and internally, and there's some things that we see already emerging for AI AI impact on design systems. The most obvious and common one that we see more and more frequently now is people actually using ChatGPT to author design system documentation as a kind of a augmenting tool for the basic explanations of things, because a lot of that stuff's just boilerplate when you come down to it, or it's a slight variation on on what everyone's description of what a button is, or a color, so it's an obvious use for it. But also, kind of to Jose's point as well, when we think of AI as an augmentation for design systems, AI will become a participant in the generation of design systems. We're already seeing requests, for instance, for the management of prompts as an asset in the design system, because those prompts are just like design tokens or components. They are artifacts that belong to the brand and to the design system. And when you have a properly crafted prompt that does meet your brand criteria and things like that, you need to track it and evolve it and version it. So, we'll see things like that start to come in to design systems very, very shortly as well.
Yeah, I would just like to add, it will reduce massively errors, increase consistency. So automate how we do things, reducing the fact that we are using inconsistent components, update the new ones so that the brand and the design will be more consistent and more rigorous, and that would save a lot of time, because it's so easy to use the wrong component and not notice it and have issues. So it will hugely impact the user experience and the quality of the products and the consistency of the brand.
Love it. Yeah, just a quick recap. So the main use cases that we see so far is documentation. A lot of people are using ChatGPT for documenting patterns and components. We could also improve the tagging system for better search experience within Figma. If you, for example, working on icon and you see that the lower adoption of specific components or assets happening in your Figma, in your design system, in your design library, not design system, you could use ChatGPT to create tags, more tags, in order to improve the search experience. We also see Copilot experience somewhere in the future, the same way how GitHub Copilot system used ChatGPT to improve the engineering experience. I feel like we will see in the future for designers. We will have faster A/B testing. We'll have more automations and prompts management. Thank you, Andrew, for sharing that. This is something really interesting to hear. And main conclusion here is it's not about replacing people, it's more about enhancing and empowering people. And we will have new industry standard regarding the speed to market. We will just make new features much more faster and better, right? We will live in a better world, hopefully. Great. Let's get into next question. Theming within singular design system versus separate systems. How would you make the decision when it comes to supporting various products of one brand? Andrew, would you like to go first?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat the phrasing of the question again?
Sure. Theming within singular design system versus separate systems. How would you make this decision when it comes to supporting various products of one brand?
Themes. Sorry, Andrew.
Yeah. Yeah, theming. I mean, we see a lot of different approaches to this. There are various ways that you can structure design systems that are sort of hierarchical like this, where you have multiple products and a single design system. You can approach it either through sort of like an inheritance type of model, or you can have kind of separate design system silos for the products. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different philosophies for how you can structure your design data. Jose, did you have something to add?
Yeah, I am going to add, and sorry, I jumped with the word theme on top of your thought. I think we have to be intentional about how we approach this particular topic. Let me take it separate direction, but important. It's not about the brand. Let's talk about accessibility and how your design system supports accessibility. If you have multiple design systems, then you have to do the accessibility enablement of your design system multiple times. If you have different themes for either different brand or what many organizations like ours just launch an open source design system, make it open source and available outside of the organization. If we do it once, we can then scale our approach for something as important as the assistive technology support, the controls, the connections, and things like that. And we're not talking about the brand at all, just about basic components and features of the design system. And I have been in organizations where, for example, dark theme versus light theme, or high density versus low density, and it is just part of the theming. It's not that you build a high density design system, a low density design system. It could go complicated extremely quickly. So I think taking advantage of what Andy just described as the hierarchical perspective of the design system, the ability to do swapping of themes and colors and contrast, I think I would urge people to consider that approach before saying, oh, I need another design system. Can I build something complementary within the same design system? That would be my consideration for people to take into account.
Yeah, I would just build on that too, that themes, I think people tend to think of themes largely as things like colors, right? But themes can go way, way beyond that, right? They can be measures, they can be any tokenized values in your design system are themable, even strings. And if you start thinking more expansively about themes in that way, that feeds very much into what you're saying, Jose. You can really, use themes to solve those kinds of things within one design system.
Yeah, 100%. And I feel like one of the examples that I like to use is it's hard to create one design system that will be used across multiple products within like large organizations. Usually they have a global library and product libraries. And in some cases, it's okay if the product library will have domain specific components that are not related to the global design system. And yes, using tokens and themes, like this is really helpful to adopt specific design system into specific different brands if we have them. Great, let's get to the next question. And if we didn't cover enough, Bill, Angela, please add additional questions here and in FigJam. I would like to go deeper into that topic. The next question is, how do you structure a process when there are vastly different levels of expertise across the organization?
Well, a process should be something that enables and empowers people. So as long as the process is clear and there are some trainings if required, probably that's all that is needed. So if you have a process that it's not scalable, it's not clear, it's not enabling, it's hindering people's capacity of doing the right thing, doing the things right, applying the design system, designing the components, whatever this process is about, well, probably the process is not designed properly for the function. So it's always about what is the problem the process is trying to solve and how to make sure the process has adoption and people want that process despite their level, because the motivation is what can help people to learn and to adapt to that process. So the question for me is a little bit broad when we talk about processes. So for this reason, my answer is also very broad.
Yeah, and I feel like we need to think about the different governance models for the design system. If it's centralized and we have enough resources to have all the UX writers, all the like additional skills that we don't have across like the design system integrate within the design system team, that's great. If you don't have enough resources, you could think about federated governance model where you'll mostly collaborate with specific product teams and will ask specific skill set, be like very specific practices to help you with like UX writing or accessibility. So they don't need to be a part of the design system for now. But then when you have more budget, you could allocate that as well and have dedicated people focusing on specific things. Great. Which are the most important metrics to keep eyes on? I feel like we already explained, trying to focus on the usage and adoption. And out of the usage and adoption, you will be able to calculate impact based on the amount of time that you've saved or based on the amount of new features or new improvements or lower bugs that specific product teams are creating. The next question is, how do you think about integrations as you manage and lead your design systems? In other words, does your company product services become more modular and unbundled and cameo inside external apps and surfaces? If so, how do you go about absorbing big platforms' design ecosystems, or rather partner closely with your brand team to standardize how would you light up within an experience outside your core products? Very complex question.
I would go macro level with that question. It really depends on your context and your strategy. If you want to open your application to integrate with others, then you would have to understand what the other integrators are governing or how they will impact and govern you. And if the other way is the other way around, which I have been in organizations where they have opened a marketplace for applications, for example, it's like, okay, this is my environment. This is my marketplace. You have to follow the rules of development and integration within the marketplace. And if you have a component or an application that's going to figure in that ecosystem, then there's a review process and a governance process and a integrity, security, compliance process that you follow. So the answer is really depends on what your organization parameters are and what is the objective that you are following, whether it's you going to the outside or you allowing somebody to come into the inside of your ecosystem.
Great. Yeah, love it. So I feel like we could also think about like different steps, creating single source of truth, then creating a platform where other brands or products could work on, then creating marketplace with more integrations that are integrated externally and internally. And then the step 4 is more advanced, like creating an ecosystem, like Amazon-like experience for all these integrations. Great. So we have only a couple minutes left. I would like to go back into our agenda, into tools and lessons and ideas, and some takeaways and principles. So I would like to go with Karolina. What are the main lessons? What are the main takeaways you took from today's discussion that we could share with the community?
Oh God, thank you for asking this, Farid. My main takeaways here are that there are as many as many ways of creating a design system and governing a design system as there are companies. I maintain a standpoint of there is not one t-shirt that suits them all. I think for every company, it will be a variation. It has to do with company size, has to do with company maturity, has to do with design maturity, has to do with the competence and expertise of your designers, has to do with the willingness of collaboration between engineering and product teams, which is super important. So I think that is actually the main takeaway, right? We cannot give one size fits all and say that this is the way you should do it, because it will be very varied depending on who you ask and what your starting point is as well, right? If you haven't had anything before, you have to experiment your way forward. But if you've had something previously, you also have to do a lot of change management across probably a lot of different areas to get buy-in for having a system.
Love it. Thank you. Pat, do you have any takeaways from this session?
I think that we can all agree the level of maturity is very variable, and it feels that no one feels they've reached the maturity they could. So I think that we are living very interesting times where we acknowledge the opportunities that we are missing, the importance of design system, the impact it can have, but we are unable to fully prove it. And I think that artificial intelligence and the new emerging technologies that are going to be exploited can really have a major impact on making sure that what we see as practitioners, as people that is hands-on every day, is something that is being recognized, facilitated, enhanced, and applied by everyone. So I think it's my biggest takeaway is everyone is aware we are not as mature as we could, but I think we will have the right push from technology and from the integrations in the times to come.
Love it. Jose, would you like to share your thoughts?
Yeah, I shared at the top of the discussion a couple of articles. One that reminded me of what Pat mentioned. Design operations is a transformation, or it's a change management function, and that one is about design. Leadership is about change management, and the one on lessons learned from design systems. I think the two or three that come to mind: executive sponsorship. Without executive sponsorship, I mean, you can be the most skilled practitioner or developer, designer or developer, but without some buy-in, it's very, very hard to get the ground system of the ground up, especially because you need somebody that creates the space for the design system to happen and to be adopted. And without that air support, is very hard. It's an uphill battle. Not impossible, but it's more difficult. The other one is about communication and transparency. I think Pat mentioned it. If you have, and Karolina also mentioned it in her statement, if you have a clear set of channels to communicate what is it you're doing. I wrote in that article that many times we treat design systems as a restricted area, do not enter, because we want to have full control of it. And that might work to get it started, but as soon as or the earliest you make it an open environment where people are actually welcome to contribute, welcome to understand what is happening, the chances of lowering the resistance barrier from those people that you are trying to influence, the better it's going to be. So I think those factors are the ones that come to mind for me to lead people to go away with those.
Love it. And I feel like for me, it was important to key takeaways is, yes, start measuring earlier than later. I feel like Andrew mentioned that during his speech, that yes, you can take like Figma as a source, just a starting point. You could take Jira as a starting point if you're using Jira as an issue tracking system. And I feel like this is a good segue into tools. Andrew, what kind of tools might be helpful, like to focus on the way how DesignOps could help design systems to gain more traction?
Yeah, well, obviously this is a topic near and dear to my heart. You know, at Supernova, we look at ways that we can improve governance of design systems. So, you know, we have sort of three main areas of tool support that we provide with our product. Documentation, of course, is like foundational, but then also automation for delivering code
Mhm.
design data into code, and then also governance. So, and this is, I think, where the Venn diagram of design ops and design systems can overlap. The ability to sort of provide bi-directional governance support for the design system. So ways to track things more accurately about the design system, but then also report back out and provide visibility into the design system. Those are areas that we feel are main tooling focuses.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for sharing. Yeah, love it. Thank you all for all the discussions. We had really a lot of questions. I'm not sure if we will be able to cover them. We are unfortunately out of time. I feel like we will share the recording, and if you will have specific questions, I feel like all the speakers will be happy if you will reach out to them and ask them questions as well, like through LinkedIn or Twitter. So feel free to do that and continue discussions through other social media platforms. Thank you very much.